Lesson 3.2, Video 2. So let's look at ways or different ways to represent a function. Okay, so we have a nice little graph here, or a table, and we're talking about a function, so all of these are functions. So if we have a graph, we are told that we can check to see if a graph is a function by the vertical line test. So again, if I took a vertical line and I see that it intersects our graph at one point, we would say yes, it's a function. Now I know all these are functions, but again, just a reference to our vertical line test and see what that looks like. Notice that, of course, if it's an equation, we do not have a y. It is now f of x, and that could be g of x or r of x and so on. It's just labeling it. It's not a part of the equation to calculate with it. It's merely a label. And also a table. Now again, a reminder that in a table, for it to be a function, all of our x's must be different. And they are. Now notice the y's have a 3 show up twice. That's okay. Alright, you can have what is called, in this case, this would be a 1 to many, or 1 to 2 if you want to call it that, and that's okay. And 1 to 1 is okay. But 2 to 1 is not okay, which means you can only have an x value show up once. Alright, so let's decide if something's a function. Now this is kind of awful here. These graphs are on the next page. So we'll take a look at that. So here are your graphs. Alright, so the first one, you have the equation written out, but the graph is given on the graph. So let's do, since we are given a graph, we're going to do a vertical line test. And I go right down the middle of it, and I see that I intersect the graph in 2 points. So is this a function? No, because that does not pass the vertical line test. The next one has quite a few bends, but again, if we do the vertical line test, I intersect in only one place. No matter where I draw that line, I still would only intersect it in one place. So is this a function? Yes. Alright, so here we're given coordinates. Now it's hard to tell in this form, so I'm going to skip this for a second and go to the next question. Here we have a table, and again we have different terminology here, but this is the x and this is the y. This is also the independent variable and the dependent variable. Those are terms we learned earlier. And we said for this to be a function that we cannot repeat, so they must be for x values. They all must be different. Is that true? We have a -2, a 0, a 5, and a 5. So is this a function? No. It does not pass the vertical line test because we have the same value for x show up more than once. Now, having said that, if we see a list of coordinates, it is recommended that we make a table, just like we did in the last question. So if we look at this, we have the coordinates 1, -4, 2, -4, and 6, -4. Alright, so we say if it's a table, the x's must all be different. In this case they are. So is it a function? Yes. And this ends Lesson 3.2, Video 2.